Африканские страны нищие и отсталые. Многие привыкли считать именно так. Смертность, голод, нечеловеческие условия жизни. Отчасти это верно, но не стоит забывать, что Африка — это нефть, алмазы, огромные электростанции, медицинские разработки, а также развивающаяся экономика. И в ЮАР, например, большая часть населения — образованные люди.
So I think one of the most common stereotypes about South Africa is that actually Africa is one big country. And I don't know who was at the forefront of propagating that stereotype, but it's actually part of 54 states, if you will. And also one of the experiences that I found traveling, a lot of people couldn't even believe how fluent I was in speaking English. So I suppose they thought I'd be speaking in African, as if there's a language called Africa. I have no idea.
Хлуби – настоящая бизнесвумен, глава собственного сельхозпредприятия, путешественница и полиглот. Живет в Сентоне, богатейшем районе Африки. А родилась в Восточном Кейпе, в маленьком городке региона, который подарил миру Нельсона Манделу и других знаковых лидеров борьбы с апартеидом.
And there's a joke that flies around the country that people that come from that region, because it's so industrial and isolated, that they are the bright sparks and the rebellious, the business-minded, the entrepreneurial people. So yeah, I'm hoping that I will live up to those great forefathers that came from that region, and I will do something amazing as well with my plant.
Видите, Африка не только страна бедняков. Хотя россиян за такой стереотип вполне можно простить, ведь Россию африканцы тоже видят другой. Сама Хлуби считала, что тут повсюду мафиози, медведи и байкеры.
And I also had a lot of stereotypes around the countries that I went to. Russia, I expected to see a lot of the mafia running around in the streets. I expected to see high levels of crime, basically being confronted by people just feeling a whole sense of impunity that they can do whatever. The mafia would be walking up and down the streets, and that has to do with a lot of the movies that I was watching. But that was not the case. So I went to Russia in 2013 for the Euro-BRICS Youth Summit. And for me, I don't know what I expected about Russia. I don't think I had much expectations except the mafia and seeing a whole lot of scary people in motorbikes. And yes, I did see people in motorbikes and motorcycles in Russia. But what was very familiar about home was, and we had come from Finland, where it was such a quiet and like very few people in the city. And when I came to Russia, there was this busyness, this rush, which reminded me very much like Johannesburg, the traffic, people rushing to in between work or whatever, but that busyness and a whole lot of people moving up and down, that felt very similar to home. And I never expected to see poverty in Russia, but I also did get to experience a lot of very similar places, people that are actually still very poor as well. And for me, that also added to the fact that at the end of the day, we have so much difference, but we also have so much commonalities and we have so much in common. I did not expect to see potholes in Russia, but I saw them on the streets of Russia, the chaotic traffic that I saw when I was there, but also quite a beautiful country. When we went on the boat, it was just amazing. And even the history and linking the history to what I saw. I visited a lot of the museums and the palaces in Russia, and for me that was again a lot of history that was there, and at the top of my mind it was almost feeling like, how does it feel to be a normal Russian? Those were some of the questions that were in my mind, because you could see the greatness of what was the Soviet Empire, if you want to call it, the palaces as well. You could see the power, the influence, the wealth of the nation that once was. And for me, what was more interesting is how do you then incorporate it into what is Russia today, where it's no longer a superpower, you don't even know where it is on the list, and every day you sort of, for me, I sort of got a better understanding even maybe of the politicians in Russia, and it was very like a rich history for me that I thought was like wow.
Вау-эффект вызывают у Африканки не только дворцы и музеи, но и перспективы сотрудничества России и ЮАР в рамках БРИКС, где Хлуби – официальный представитель своей страны.
And for me, I think to make it a more meaningful and more useful platform is if they start bringing in the culture and the human element to it. If you want to go to and study in any of the BRICS countries, making that more accessible and the cultural exchanges between the two countries, for me, I think that's more meaningful and beneficial.